Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Monday evening, our customer presentation. My name is Dave Ives. I'm a Royal Crown with Zinzino, and we're going to spend a little time together this evening and take you on a journey. I would like for you to join me on a journey that I experienced just 22 months ago. And some of this information you may be already privy to. Maybe someone's got with you, shared with you these best-in-class test-based nutritional products. But you'll also may be one of those individuals that health has always been a major part of your life, or maybe someone that didn't consider health as a major focus, always consider yourself looking after yourself. And some of the information I'm going to share with you this evening may just be an eye opener, as it was to me at 51 years young, just under 2 years ago. Because Enzino is a company that focuses on helping people to regain personal control over their health and well-being. Now, as a 51-year-old, an ex-sportsman and someone in the hospitality arena, chef by profession, so fresh produce was always a major part of my life. At 51, in fact, probably at 48, when I was first approached about these products, I just thought they were just another nutritional company. I always have taken nutrition. I've always supplemented my diet because I always was well aware with the way the environment was changing and the way things were being used in the ground and above the ground, that my nutritional value was not getting what I wanted. But I thought I was on top of it. I thought I was reacting, or in fact, intentionally purchasing additional products that would fill that gap in my dietary needs. But until I was actually shared the Zinzino product offering, I was highly, I won't say amused about my lack of information, but I was slightly disgruntled that I'd spent many decades really consuming products that really weren't doing what I thought they were doing for me. And that's the whole purpose tonight. I want you to maybe take that journey with me, because there's two things that's important to understand. One is, why do we need these products and why do we find ourselves in this position? And two, more importantly, why are our products significantly more different than anything out in the marketplace? Because one thing I understand is to be true is that we are what we eat, but that is no longer the whole truth. It's only part of the truth. And tonight I'm hoping that I can unravel some of that additional aspects of that, some of the things that you may just want to be considering, and then getting back with that individual and maybe getting some questions answered that may be important to you. Because if health is important to you, that's why you're here this evening. If you are looking to maybe put yourself in the most optimum health possible, that's possibly another reason why you're here this evening. And I will assure you of this: at the end of tonight's presentation, you're going to have enough information to at least go back and make an informed decision. But I want to put a disclaimer in here. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a medical professional. But what I've learned over the last 22 months and the information and documentation you also will have access to make sure that you do your own due diligence on what we are sharing with you this evening. So let's kick off. Zinzino is a company that over the last 15 years has been in the market in many countries around the world. But for the last 8 years, they have been focusing on a very simple message. And that message is of better health. Look, I don't know about you, from a young man where I competed competitively in sports through my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, health, of course, was always important. And I don't know about you, but I think most of us have always said health is a priority, is an importance. And yet life takes over, families, children, careers, and we consider that we're doing okay, but our own health seems to sometimes slip down that ladder of priorities. But I don't think we're any different around the world, is that we all want to feel better. We all want to feel good. And I'm hoping that we also want a life of longevity, but not just a lengthy life, but as healthy as possible for the remainder of those years that we are here. And so, but the reality is converse of our desires. Today, excluding what we're living through, and of course, some relaxation of restrictions been lifted today in the United Kingdom, But I think the world, prior to being notified about this pandemic that we are living through, the human race has never been sicker. In fact, we are the unhealthiest we've ever been. And logically, that doesn't make any sense. And tonight, I want to share some of those thoughts with you to maybe, if you've not given it consideration, to maybe start thinking about you first. Because if the world has access to the information, nutrition, exercise, programs, I mean, there is abundance of information and knowledge at our fingertips. And yet we are the sickest we've ever been as a human race. And I don't know about you, when I eventually opened my thinking, my being receptive to hearing from the gentleman who had asked me for 3 years to look at these products, when I eventually took the time to look and looked at the documentation, the validation of what these products were doing, I had no argument. I had to do something. And that is not a decision that you need to make, but I'm sharing my journey with you. But we've also heard many philosophers thousands of years ago talk about balanced diets, eating from Mother Nature. And actually, there was one that actually stated, let your food be your medicine and let your medicine be your food. And that was 1,000+ years ago, many thousands of years ago, in fact, when that philosophy was spoken. And yet only less than over 100, 150 years ago, that was still true to a point. Because today we are seeing diseases, degenerative conditions, ailments that were not around just over 100 years ago. Because at that point, we were still following that philosophy. We were eating a balanced diet. We were taking from Mother Nature and we were consuming the right nutrients, the right fibers, the right essential fatty acids. And that was a period of time where we were living healthier, longer. And the reality is, only a few short decades ago, there was a major shift. And that's what we want to share with you tonight as well, is because when you understand where that shift took place and what happened, that society and civilization diets that are now amongst us were not around just over 100 years ago, we have to stop and think and ask questions. Because what happened in the early 60s, we saw the introduction of man-made foods, processed foods. Now, for us as humans, we had more choice, better flavors, more addictive elements to it. But also, consequently, we had higher calories and lower nutritional density. And because of that aspect, our essential fatty acids were depleted. Now, we were getting some, but not in the ratio that we required. So with man-made introduction of processed foods, we started to see things change, because historically, we can actually pinpoint where things started to go adrift. Now, we weren't aware of it at the time. We just thought we had great choice. We had products that lasted longer on the shelf. We had things that we moved away from having seasonal food. We could get products, what we liked, all year round. When you think about that, that doesn't make logical sense. That means there has to be an interference of how we produce food. Well, the reality is that you, I, no matter who you are, we are exactly the same. You and I are born in ratio of our essential fatty acids. Now, they should be in a ratio of 1:1. And science has shown this. And by the way, this is pubmed.com. So these are the references that we have sourced. And pubmed.com is an incredible resource for you to independently go and do some research. But science says that we can allow that gap, that ratio, to widen to about 3:1. 3 omega-6s and 1 omega-3. And I want you to remember that ratio. But at the same time of that introduction of man-made foods, that gap started to widen. Now, you and I wouldn't have been aware of it. We don't see what's going on under the bonnet. And that's very similar to what we see maybe of our own car. Think about it this way. Many people over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years spend more time polishing their car than they do changing the oil. It looks a great vehicle, but at a point will start to run on a sluggish aspect. And to some, with neglect, that engine will seize. Well, science has shown that at that period of time of introduction of processed foods, that gap was a turning point. So less than 6 or 7 decades ago, after that philosophy of thousands of years of let your food be your medicine and medicine be your food, we started to move away from that thinking. And so consequently, just within a short period of time, it may sound like a long time, 50 or 60 years, but it's still a blink in mankind's history. Within that short period of time, we have seen that ratio widen astronomically. And the consequences of that is chronic inflammation. And around the world, we are seeing figures even worse than the United Kingdom. Now, United Kingdom, the average individual today is now 15-1 out of balance. And the reason being is we do not produce, as human beings, we do not produce our essential fatty acids. So the question that we have to ask about ourselves is our diet. What are we consuming? We see we are educated to a degree, but sometimes we need to go one step further. We think we get our omegas from fish, but not all fish, because we need to really be eating the wild caught fish. But most of us are eating farmed fish. Many of us are using oils that are saturated and not unsaturated. And so when you start to think that we're doing the right things to be healthy, and yet many of us are really playing Russian roulette with our health. And the consequences of that is that there's now an imbalance of those essential fatty acids. Now, omega-6s are required. They're a very protective element of our cellular health, but too many of them makes us chronically inflamed. Now, I remember what I said at the beginning. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I want you to understand that you can research this information. You do not need a PhD to use common sense. If you eat too much of one thing and not enough of another, well, there's going to be an imbalance. And the consequences of that is that our diet needs to be looked at. See, for most of us, we need to reduce the amount of omega-6 that we consume and increase the omega-3 that we are consuming from our diet. Now, that imbalance has a consequence. And this is what really woke me up just 22 months ago. Because the question to me was, is health important to you, Dave? And my response was, of course it is, isn't it, to everybody? But the reality is, my natural response was, well, I feel okay. I think I'm as well as I think I should be at 51 years young. Well, feeling okay, looking okay, isn't a true indication that you are okay. And when they started to explain that what we need is cellular health and not fitness, I was intrigued, because as we become imbalanced, every cell in our bodies has a membrane. And for that membrane to have an optimum performance, our essential fatty acids must be in ratio. If we are out of balance and those omega-6s run away and get out of control, what happens is that membrane has a reduction in function. It becomes hard, it becomes rigid. And so it struggles to absorb the nutrients, whether it be from our diet or even through additional supplements we may take. And if the nutrients cannot be absorbed, and those that do struggle to get into the cell, once the goodness is processed, toxins need to be released. And if those toxins cannot be released, then now we have an environment where we start to see the manifestation of chronic inflammation. And so those cells need the permeable membrane to be around 3-to-1 or less of our essential fatty acids. So many people understand the importance of essential fatty acids, but they don't understand the status of their own. And the question that was asked of me, and this is the real important part tonight. If health is important to you, no matter how good you are feeling, no matter how physically fit you feel you are, you need to ask yourself this question. Can you categorically answer the question 100% that you know how your cellular level is in a balanced ratio or not? Because if you and I do not know if we're in or out of the danger zone with our balance of our essential fatty acids, then we really are playing Russian roulette with the longevity of our health. Because it's not what we see that is important, it's what we don't see that can indicate and influence the quality of our life. And so, what if there was a test? That was the question that was asked of me. If there was a test, Dave, that you and I could take that could show whether we were presently in or out of balance with our diet that we are consuming, would you be open to taking a test? And that's the question the individual has probably asked you if you're a guest here this evening looking at the products. This is a question that you may want to be asking yourself. Because if there was a test that could remove any doubt that what we are consuming is working, wouldn't that be worth investigating? Well, I would like to share with you when I looked at this 22 months ago to kickstart my own health campaign. The company had already tested 270,000 individuals worldwide. That took them 8 years to do that. Fast forward 22 months, the company's now tested well over 630,000 individuals, and we are opening countries around the world to make an impact in those markets. We're giving people the opportunity to regain their health and control, and maybe not just going through blindly, but be able to absolutely remove any doubt on a cellular level. Now, my skepticism, if I was truthfully honest with you, May of 2019, when I was told there was a test, I was intrigued by the test, but that was my level of skepticism too. Because my natural reaction, and maybe you share this with me, is of course my test is going to show that I'm out of balance because you want me to buy your product. But when I was informed that the test was performed by an independent laboratory called Vitas. In fact, Vitas is one of the largest DBS, dry blood spot analysis laboratory in the world. And you can see some of the official partners on the screen right now. And Vitas, based out of Oslo in Norway, had actually established themselves 25 years ago. So well before Zinzino even started their business, and only 8 years ago where Zinzino had a pure focus on test-based nutrition. And those institutions you just read aren't alone. Look at some of the brand names that use this laboratory. So when I understood that the laboratory that was testing my blood had nothing to do with Zinzino, and they tested for many other institutions around the world, then that grabbed my attention because I truly didn't know. I may have felt well. I had a great career in my sport. I've always eaten as best as my ability. But the reality is I didn't know the true status of my cellular health. So you and I have the opportunity to take a small lancet from a test and take a few drops of blood and send it off to Vitas. And in that time, you're going to be able to start consuming nutritional products from Zinzino. And two things are going to happen. One, you're going to get a result and you're going to either be in balance or out of balance. If you're in balance, 3-to-1 or less, even though you've been consuming products, you're going to be able to get all those products and send them back if you wish and have a 100% money back guarantee. If you're out of balance, you've already started consuming the products, so you're going to already start to see and feel a difference. But what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to monitor your progress over 120 days. And you can see at bottom right that I was not in the category of getting a refund. I was 14.4-to-1 out of balance. Now, those 630,000 individuals that have been tested actually correlated has produced some alarming data. You can see for yourself on the screen, there's not one continent on planet Earth that is not experiencing chronic inflammation. And as of Tuesday last week, April the 6th, India opened with 1.5 billion people. Now, our findings were alarming about the amount of percentage that was chronically inflamed, but these other findings were even more eye-opening. That is that even those that were taking Omega products was still on par, 7-1 out of balance. Remember, we've got to be 3-1 or less. Now, so there's people that are with great intention are taking hard-earned money, buying products because they understand the importance of omegas, thinking that they are of being effective, unaware that they are still chronically inflamed. And we're going to share why that is the case. Now, that is a major concern because there's people doing the right thing with the right intention, but blindly taking nutrition without any evidence. And so this doctor, Paul Clayton, and his incredible scientific advisory board has spent many years discovering, developing, formulating, and proving that fish oil on its own, omega supplements, do not work on their own. And we're going to share with you why that is. And through that process and 5 decades of spending his life dedicating to the importance of essential fatty acids on cellular health and chronic inflammation, this gentleman and his team have produced our formulated products that we are proud to share with you tonight. And they've shown that with our formulated products, no matter how far out of balance we are, it takes the average person 120 days to come back into balance. In fact, 95% of those who are tested independently, who are out of balance, when they retest in 120 days, are back in balance, which is amazing. So they start to see different things happening to their skin, their sleep, their recuperation, recovery, memory, clarity, energy levels. I mean, the list goes on and on. But you may be thinking yourself, like I was, how are these different? Why are these more unique than anything out there in the marketplace? Because omegas aren't new. Many people have heard of omegas, and so there's nothing new that being shared. But what I wasn't aware of, and maybe you are, and maybe you aren't, is that the omega itself in nature actually comes from algae. And in Mother Nature, remember the philosophy, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. In Mother Nature, in nature, the omega is never left alone. It has a chaperone. It's called a polyphenol. Now, when you buy a traditional omega products, all you're buying is fish oil. Through the discovery of Dr. Clayton and his scientific advisory team, they discovered that fish oil oxidizes very quickly by putting polyphenols, which is like an antioxidant, and now recreate how Mother Nature was. That omega now is protected by the polyphenol as it transfers itself into our cellular level. And that is why ours is unique. But more importantly, it's test-based, meaning it's validated independently by a laboratory. Now, our oil is a very high-grade fish oil. It comes from one of the Icelandic producers, Lysi. You can see, you go look them up, they're an incredible, incredible high-quality fish oil. But fish oil alone doesn't work. And why is ours unique? It's because we actually take Spanish olives that are prematurely harvested. Now, you and I, you may enjoy an olive like I do, most definitely, but if you can eat an olive, then the polyphenols are not effective. So these olives are prematurely harvested about 2 months before they are ripe. At that point, they are cold pressed, and it's those polyphenols that are the USP. And what's unique here is our polyphenols in our dosage is 750 milligrams per 1 kilo. The industry of omegas is 100 milligrams to a kilo. So ours is more potent and more effective and independently validated. So the olive oil and the olive polyphenols is what protects the omega from oxidization. So as we consume it and it travels through our blood system and then several hours later is able to transfer into the cell membrane, that's where it can do its work. all other omegas oxidize before it even gets to the cellular level. So what our balanced product does is safely adjust the omega-3 content in our bodies within 120 days. And so the balanced oil comes in multiple flavors. It's our flagship product. But we have various options. Some like to take it neat on its own. Some want to use our soluble version called Aqua X. Same composition, same polyphenols, but it's able to blend into liquid so children can consume it. Because the younger we have this in our children, the better protection from oxidization and chronic inflammation is going to be vitally important for them as they grow up. We also have, what we're very proud of, is our patented vegan option. I mentioned India. We just opened India with 1.5 billion people. Veganism, of course, is a big cultural thing there. And the average Indian who was tested, who was a vegan, was over 40-1 out of balance. We also have a soft gel version for those who may not like the liquid format, but would rather pop a pill. And that generally is a culture that we have discovered across the pond with our Canadian and our American friends. But all these 4 options achieve the same results. And all of them, including all of our products, are made to the highest standard of quality and care. In fact, we are GMP certified. And of course, today with society the way it is and accessibility to information, everybody has those social conscious aspects that's important to them. Is it non-GMO, keto friendly, vegan friendly? I mean, the list goes on. And Zinzino Products, the first company to produce all natural pharmaconutritional products, leads the way in the field. So we spoke about that omegas have come in many formats previously. People have taken products that you can see on the screen, but ours has been scientifically proven that they stay fresh and potent longer than anything in the market. And the reason we can share that with you is there is a report by the Cochrane report, which has been documented that well over 100,000 individuals through 79 trials has proven that fish oil itself shows very little or no effect after consumption. Remember why we shared that with you? It's because the omega itself oxidizes. It's the reintroduction of the polyphenol that gives it its longevity. So this is interesting because once we start to understand it, and I started to understand that, then I realized that it was important not just to take omegas, but to take a product that would protect the omega. So on the left-hand side there, you see some global statistics here. Now, look at the age range, because a lot of times people ask me, who can take this? And you're going to see a slide in a minute where everybody can take this product, even from a mother carrying a child in her womb. But look at the statistics on the screen from 0 to 9. On the left-hand column, these are people that do not take. This is actually the Indian market, for an example, but that don't take any form of omegas. Look at their ratio. Now, this second column is of individuals that were taking some form of omega product, but had some or little or no effect. So you can still see there's still a very narrow margin between the two, that those who don't take any and those who do take omegas, but not a balanced solution. Now look at the difference at using the balanced oil, the effectiveness of it. So omegas are important if they are still potent when they needed at the cellular level. So what we have seen through our numbers over the last 8-9 years is that within 120 days of taking this balanced solution, this is not an omega-3 product. This is a balanced oil solution. It has omegas in there, it has the vitamin D and 3 that you saw, but it has the polyphenols. It will take someone from a pro-inflammatory situation, and 95% of those individuals are now back in balance in 120 days. And so that explanation now validates when I took my second test that I actually took my test in 90 days. I was actually with a colleague of mine, Sue Booth, and we were just intrigued. We were feeling energetic, our skin, our sleep. And so we decided to take our test, our second test, 90 days in, not to see if we had worked, just to see the progression that we were making. Astoundingly, my second test was 2.1 to 1 back in balance. Now, remember, not everybody comes back into balance within 120 days. 95% of people do. The other 5%, maybe heavier people set like me, maybe some individuals that don't take it consistently, for whatever reason, may need an extra month or two. But here's the key. Once we are back in balance, it's not that we stop taking the product, because we have proven that our lifestyle, our environment, our consumption, our diet had us out of balance. So this is not a fixed product. It's a lifestyle product. And who needs it? Who can benefit from our products? Everybody. From, like I said, a mother with child to the elderly individual. And we need it for different areas, different cycles of different timings in our life. Now, the benefits are endless. You know, the big three: improves our immune, improves our heart, and improves our brain function. In fact, there are 165 benefits that help with omegas. So people can go Google and they can go gather their information about omegas. So they're doing things with the right intention. Our goal is to maybe open their thinking and actually prove to them that maybe what they're taking isn't working, and that can be proven by an independent blood test. So our goal is just to help consumers, customers, people like you and I and our families to come back into balance with our essential fatty acids, because of the consequences of being out of balance we are seeing on a day-to-day basis. And most people that are out of balance today, experiencing chronic inflammation, unbeknown to them, simply go off to maybe a practitioner, and what they'll be served is medication for the symptoms and not the core issue. So helping you, our families, us all back into balance is something that we're very excited about sharing these products. So let's take a look at some of Zinzino's other incredible products. So the balance oil helps us come back into balance. And then our gut. Our gut has been labeled our second brain. And Zinzino has come up with a very sophisticated product that has 5 blends of fiber that slowly release in each chamber of our colon, because each chamber has a different type of bacteria, good or bad. And today, gut health is very influential in the conditions that we are seeing today. Now, I'm not the doctor, I'm not the nutritionist, as I said. If you want to know the composition of these products, the nutritional value, the science behind these products, the individual who invited you will be able to give you a PDF scientific sheet. So you got all the exact information, and you will be informed without anybody misleading you on the contents of it. But gut health is a priority. The second thing, or the third thing, is building our immune. In fact, the reason why we're living in the way we're living today is because of our immune system. Well, Dr. Paul Clayton, this is what he calls his baby. This is a very powerful, sophisticated, multi-immune multivitamin. It's got beta-glucans in it, it's got minerals, it's got vitamins, but the way he has produced this, you would not be able to get this content out of a diet. So with these 3 products, Zinzino has produced what we call the health protocol. These 3 products will make a difference, and your independent blood tests will prove that to you. So by following 3 simple steps, we can build our health to the most optimum position that we could possibly achieve. 1, the oil brings us into balance. 2, the Xenobiotic brings our gut back into a positive microbiome. And our multivitamin Extend brings our immune system to where it needs to be. We call that the protocol. Now, that is less than around £2.20 a day for us to prevent ourselves falling under the scenario that we're living through today. Can't make any medical claims, not making any guarantees, but think about this. Preventive healthcare is more effective cost-wise than the cost of medication. If health is important to you, consider that. £2.20 a day, less than a cappuccino, and you're building your immune, you're building your cellular level, you're reducing chronic inflammation, and you're building your gut health back to where it needs to be. And what we've also seen over the last 12 to 18 months through this global scenario is people's anxiety, people's lack of sleep, concerns. Well, Zinzino has what I believed for me is my favorite product. It's the most powerful product that they have. It's 100% natural. It's a nootropic product, and we call it the happy pill. It has the same effectiveness as antidepressants. So by getting your hands on some of these, I take 4 of these a day myself. I love them, and I didn't know I needed them, but I can tell you this categorically. I know when I haven't taken them. And so these are incredible products. And some people, they want to add the Viva to their health protocol. And if you want to do that, that's now £2.83 a day for 4 test-based, best-in-class, all-natural, first to the market, test-based nutritional products. Nothing ever comes close. Now, regardless of what you're taking, I'm bold enough to say, if you're already taking supplements, take the test. Let's see how they're working, because you'll know whether you need this or not. Now, if your test comes back into balance, fantastic. If it doesn't, then you know what you've been spending your money on. You had the right intention, but they haven't been doing what they needed to do on an internal basis. And we have more products that we can share with you, and the individual who invited you onto the call can maybe elaborate a little bit more of our product offering. But Protect Plus is our ultimate immune product. We have weight management products for those who want to build some lean muscle, or maybe a maintenance program, or lose a few pounds. And we have a very, very impressive skin serum. This is one of those products that really does what it says. It hydrates the skin. It's actually, we call it food for the skin. And when you use this serum and you take the oil, the serum works from the outside in, and the oil works from the inside out. We have shown, and there has been a test, and you want to maybe get a copy of this RCT that shows that within 60 days of taking these 2 products, that the elasticity of our skin is improved by 37%. So Zinzino is a very, very impressive company. Their whole ethos is to help people like you and I, customers, to have a better life, to have a healthier life, to remove any doubt about our cellular health. And so they really truly want to inspire you to change your life. And the good starting point is take the test. Get back with the individual, let them know if health's important to you, that you would like to take the test and become a premier customer. You can actually access these products delivered to your door at a affordable price, as I've just shown with you. And more importantly, how would you like that cup of coffee for free each day? How do you mean? Well, once you've had your first and second blood test and you've seen it work for you as a customer, why not refer 4 other people just like you that you care about, and Zinzino will send you your products for free each month and only pay for a small shipping charge. Now, that is inspiring. Inspire you to better health and those you care about around you. So my name is Dave Ives. I've enjoyed sharing our products with you. Get back with the individual. Let them know whether you want to take that first step, removing any doubt. Get tested. Start taking these nutritional products. And then from there, enjoy your journey to better health. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you all very soon.